And here we are again in our studio, and with us today guests Janet and Paul Mccree, and our heroes from these beautiful paintings. And it's how many years passed since then?
Oh,
Like
4, 3?
3 years. It's 3 years past. Time flies, isn't it?
Yeah.
So quickly. And I'm just enjoying to take this painting and see it again and see your faces, so exciting. And now here you are. You haven't changed a bit. You're just as smart and just as beautiful and shining, and your face is amazing. And I remember your story.
Just the detail and how she had captured exactly what we looked like. But the longer I've lingered and looked at it, I realised it was like a personal picture from God about things that have happened in our life.
You were telling before us, you were sharing, Janet was sharing with people about her life and how this painting reflect in her heart and how she felt about it. She was so excited and it touched me so much, and it was like a testimony for me as well, you know, that I didn't know what I was doing. I was just following whatever was in my heart. I didn't realize it was your story.
Yes.
So, and now here you are back, and your life changed to a certain degree, and you're full of plans, full of life, enjoying yourself. And the reason I invited you, because to me you are an amazing family. I just love your family, and I love like as a great example for some people, and especially for young people, where to go and how do you get there, and what do you do when troubles come, what do you do when difficulties come, how do you done all of that to bring up your 2 beautiful daughters. Now they have their own families and you're proud of them.
Yes,
very much.
Yeah, yeah, and I would be proud of girls like that, and your sons-in-law, wonderful people.
Very.
So, so what do you do? How do you guard the happiness of your family?
Well, we're very careful about who we spend time with, and we're very careful that we don't rob our family of important time. We make sure that we make time for family life. And what else would you say? Just
We use our time wisely.
yeah, to be good stewards of your time, and to guard your happiness. It's about not running here and there, thinking very carefully before you say yes to do something, and we'll consult each other. Always talking to the children, talking to each other before we would make a decision. Because sometimes Paul would have more wisdom than me, sometimes I'd have more wisdom than him. We might say, you know what, I have a funny feeling that that's not like the right thing to do. He would say, well, do you know, I really don't want you just to go off on your own. I don't feel secure about that, and we'll just talk about it and come to a decision. And you have to guard your happiness. You can't live frivolously. You have to guard what God's put into your care.
We were both brought up to think about what we've been asked to do, and if our decision was yes, see it through to the end, rather than drift off and do something else when it suited us, you know. and it hasn't always been easy. Sometimes we've been, or on many occasions, we've been left holding the baby, and when everybody else has deserted. So, but that's one of the things which we both feel very strongly about.
It's because what it says in the Bible, let your yes be yes,
Yeah.
and let your
Yes.
no be no, and
Yeah.
whatever is apart from that, it's from the evil one.
Yes.
So, and
Yeah.
it's so rare in our world now when people actually keep their word.
Yes.
Even in the Christian world, which I've been surprised, you know, you would be
Yes.
surprised that even Christians, they don't keep their word.
Oh, definitely.
And I think not just saying yes immediately. I might say to somebody, you know, I'm going to need a little bit of time to think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Can I really arrange that? Can I really allow that into my life at the moment? And if I have to say no, then I say no, and it doesn't mean that I don't love people or care for them, but we have to guard what we've been given. And I tell people all the time, it's not hard to shine. Just do what you say you're going to do, you'll be miles ahead of the world. Because like you say, people do not do what they say they're going to do.
So,
Commitment.
when you bringing up your girls, was it like Bible? Was it example? Was it the main thing which you've been using to guard your happiness?
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always Jesus in the centre. We both read scripture every day. So, you know, putting that into the girls' lives, just saying to them, this is the way we live, showing, demonstrating, not banging them over the head with it, but leading by example, and explain to your children why we believe what we believe. Like not having a plan B. We've never had a plan B, have we?
No.
So we go to church on Sunday, that is God's day, and we would never allow the children to go to birthday parties, anything that would interfere with the Sunday. They knew right from the start that was a no-go, and they never asked, and they tell us now how grateful they are for the way that we've led them, because now it's not hard for them. You know, we built that into their life from being little, and now it's not hard for them. You know,
because I heard from many Christians often that I don't want to push them, I don't want to make them, they have to have their own will and their own decision whether go or not to church, because I've been pushing my kids as well to go to church, and I think it's good they need to stay there and listen to what the word have to say, and to be communicating with these Christian people, have the right company around them. And you know, just yesterday I heard this program of Rick Renner. And he was actually talking about the very same thing. He was talking about how he'd been bringing up his children, and he was saying when in a normal school, children don't have a question whether or not they have to go to school. If you start asking them, what would they say? They get up in the morning, they say, Mommy, I don't want to go to school.
Yeah.
They definitely would say that one day, right? But here is education, which is far more, even higher, because education not just for life but for eternity, and this education is in our church, in churches, in good churches, I would say. And now in our days there is many good churches filled with the Holy Spirit people and leaders, and to lead our children and say, yes, you must go. You don't understand now, but you would appreciate later on, isn't it?
definitely.
I think the important thing that we found was rather than saying you have got to go, we've made it fun for them. We've made them want to go. They've seen the importance of it.
Yeah.
And even now, my grandchildren, they all look forward to Sunday. It's kids' church day.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've made it that they want to go as well.
And we've always shared our difficulties with the children, not to burden them, not everything, but we would share, you know, if it was a difficult time when Paul was out of work, we would share with them, explain why, you know, why they couldn't have all of these things, and like Christmas time, we'd always explain that very well, not about what are you getting, because everybody asked children, oh, what are you getting for Christmas? We didn't. we didn't lead them down that path. We always led them down the way of what can we do for somebody else? Who will we share that time with? And I just think because they understood why we did things, that they didn't find it difficult. I asked them now, did they find it really difficult? And they said never. They always wanted to be a part of church. I think they loved it. I mean, it was, you know, we always went to a church that was upbeat, relevant, and if that church has sort of started to go down a little bit, we would move on to make sure that the children always had an active role within God's community. Yeah,
Very
always.
important to find a good church.
It's vital.
Yeah.
More important for the children than it was for us.
Yeah. But it still happens. It still happens. It happened in my life, and my son at one point didn't want to go to church. You know, it still happened, and we should not feel guilty about it because they have their own will and they have decisions. But as the Bible tells us, as you bring up your child, then he will go the same way.
Yes.
Isn't it? So they will come back.
Yes.
And for those people who say, well, okay, you're lucky, or maybe whatever way you done, it's good. You have these two wonderful girls who are in church, but what about my son or my girl who just walk away? But they come back. If we will stay in prayer, if we will stay strictly, and we will be determined, not afraid to say, not afraid to speak. Sometimes my son will say, Mom, would you please not speak near my friends about Jesus? I said, I can't. I don't want to. You want to change me now? I don't want to do this. Then you would rather change your friends who don't want to listen to.
Yeah. Well, we've come under in our lifetime quite a lot of criticism for the way in which we brought the children up, and I was just talking about it with Sam on Sunday, but I'm happy to say that now my entire family are planted in church.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And whatever criticism we've had in the past, the people who criticised us, sadly, their children aren't planted in a church. So,
And I would rather face that criticism, because when I look on a Sunday and I just see all of my family there, committed marriages, because that's a rare thing. You know, good marriage is so rare, and I see, both my daughters in amazing marriages and committed to church life, committed to Jesus, and really, the criticism. I look at those people now and their children are nowhere, and that's really sad. But that's not my concern. My concern was it's for our family.
And I think also that one of the keys is to be an example.
Yeah.
Because children are learning from us.
Absolutely.
yes.
The main thing what they learn is the way we behave, the way we act, and what we do. They're looking at us, and the way my son, if I talk about him now, his heart is open up to God now.
Yeah.
And he, no matter what, he's open, he is listening, he is not saying anymore, Mom, stop, talk about it. And God working in his heart and bringing him back.
Yeah.
And he's the one who is, I will see him worshipping, and I will see this whole family.
Yeah.
And this were my face. And I just pray that those people who are there, and they may be praying for the children to come back to church, that they would not give up, because you be with Jesus, you be so close, so your children would see it, and then they will see your victory, and they will follow your steps. They would know that God is real.
Yeah, it's when they come to trouble themselves, when they grow older and they come to their own life troubles, I think then they can look back and see how their parents dealt with it, and think, often the girls will say, "Oh, Mum, we only understand now what you and Dad went through when you were bringing us up," and that really grateful that we persevered.
Thank for the God's word that we can declare it and defeat the devil. So I've been through things which is God been taking me through, and then attacks on my family and my children as well. And again, God been taking us through, and I've been sharing that in my other programs. What do you do when the trouble comes? You know, I've been share how I've been fighting for my son, for his health, and been studying how he received healing, and how it was testimony for him.
Yeah.
And it's one of the good things when you do to actually show your children there. God is real God. He's not just the words. It's not just what I say to you and preach to you. You can see it, and then we will win them to Christ. Isn't
Indeed,
it?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, same for us. We have had to pray and believe in really desperate times, but you know, God's really faithful. He's no man's debtor. We've been in financial need when Paul was out of work. God just provided. The children grew up quite often seeing just food parcels arrive on the doorstep. And I know people look at us now and they would not believe that we lived like that. You know, they would just think that we've just sailed through life, but it's so not true. And I think that's how our faith is so strong, isn't it? Because we have just seen the miracles. The girls lived through it. They saw God provide. And we would sit down and explain how that had happened. We would share the Bible with them and say, look, God's promised to provide. And so because they've seen it with their own eyes, they have no doubt. That's built their faith. You know, we have had a lot of trouble. Our first baby, we lost that in miscarriage. Then we had Katie. Then we had a miscarriage, and then we had Natalie. But you know, honestly, the healing that came, we've never really mourned or anything about that. God just picked us up straight away and said, I've got that, I'll deal with that, you just move forward in your life. And we just did. No broken heart at all. We weren't
obviously,
broken-hearted.
when it happened, you know, we were quite upset, naturally enough.
But not for long.
You're looking forward to having a baby, your first baby, and you know, but we're certain that when we get the glory that we're going to meet our children that we never saw. So
God had a plan for that. He had a plan for those children, and I know people listening to this will probably think that's ridiculous, but you know, God is so much bigger than anybody can imagine. We don't know, we just see through a glass dimly now, but you know, our eyes, we're not fixed on this earth, our eyes are fixed on eternity. We fixed our children's eyes on eternity, because what happens to you here, it's just a blip, it's a vapour, your life's over very quickly. And even if that life was just full of suffering, it's still just a blip when you measure that with eternity. You've got to live like that, and I don't know how people without God can really equate what goes on in life, because it's got to be measured by eternity.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not religion, you know, it's not religion, it's not a set of rules that we're banging on about here. This is a wide open, enormous life with a fantastic God. You know, my daughters are not just obedient to me saying, yes ma'am, I'll go to church. They've seen God for themselves. They see him day to day, and they thrive because they belong to Jesus. It's as simple as that. It's not religion. I mean, I think if I could say anything out loudly to the whole world today, it would be, I am not a religious person. Christianity is not a religion. You know, it's got history and it's all there if you just open the Bible. And it's life changing.
Heart transformation.
Heart transformation, absolutely. 100%.
you.